how Drake got exposed for lying. Just when you thought Drake's ego couldn't get any more bruised, Kendrick Lamar went ahead and utterly decimated what little shred of street cred the poor guy had left. Those vicious diss tracks didn't just roast Drake with hot lyrics. They became chart-topping bangers that cemented Kendrick as the undisputed king while making Drake look like a whimpering jester. But wait, there's more. As if getting ethered by Kendrick's verbal warheads wasn't humiliating enough, some mysterious online ragamuffin just had to go spilling all of the piping hot tea about Drake's dirty laundry for the world to gawk at. So much for his last few diehard fans deluding themselves into thinking their golden boy had somehow won this rap beef despite getting musically B-slapped by Not Like Us. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that silly pipe dream is officially dead. Drake's fragile ego has been torn asunder, and he's been exposed as just another mediocre pretty boy who couldn't lyrically pat his head and rub his belly at the same time. Oh boy, where do we even begin with this Drake situation? The way his feeble defense against Kendrick's lyrical obliteration has been exposed as a pathetic house of lies is just astonishing. It's deliciously ironic how his desperate attempt to twist the narrative and diminish Kendrick's greatness has backfired so spectacularly. The guy's entire career is going down in flames before our very eyes. And this latest fiasco, just when you thought Drake had hit rock bottom, he somehow finds an even lower depth to plumb. Getting torn to shreds by diss tracks from upstart rappers was embarrassing enough, but this mysterious online vigilante just had to spill all the piping hot tea, didn't they? Unleashing a torrent of receipts and videos breaking down every damning detail from Kendrick's Meet the Grams, exposing all the sordid truths Drake tried to so desperately bury. At this point, the only surprise would be if Drake still had any shreds of dignity or credibility left to lose. His free fall from lukewarm relevance has transitioned into a terminal velocity nosedive straight into the abyss of rap irrelevancy. Couldn't happen to a more deserving try-hard pretty boy if you ask me. Drizzy is about to become a cautionary tale about what happens when you let hubris and entitlement put your mouth where your lack of talent can't cash the checks. Oh, this Drake saga just keeps getting juicier and juicier, doesn't it? Like a delicious dumpster fire we just can't look away from. So let me get this straight. Some mysterious Batman-esque vigilante is not only flaunting the very evidence that debunks Drake's flimsy cover story, but they're doing it with such dramatic flair it makes the Joker look subtle, blasting Meet the Grams in the background while panning over NYC skylines. Marketing genius, I have to admit. But wait, it gets better. This anonymous hero isn't just exposing Dizzy's lies. They're literally giving him and DJ academics an ultimatum. Retract the stolen goods, claim or cash these legal hands. You'd love to see it. The Canadian supervillain and his hype man sidekick getting put firmly in their place. And then, just to twist the knife further, they drop visual evidence of Drake discarding the incriminating suitcase of evidence at some random hotel lobby. This entire fiasco feels like it leapt straight out of a Christopher Nolan screenplay. The grandiose spectacle, the moral righteousness, this cryptic breadcrumb trail, it's all pure chef kiss material. All that's missing is some gravely Christian Veil voiceover about becoming a merciless agent of truth. I'm utterly living for these dramatic superhero versus super villain vibes. Well, back to the gist. It seems the tangled web of Drake's deceit has finally been completely unraveled. And what an intricate, audacious fabrication it was. This mysterious vigilante has blown the entire charade wide open with their dramatic expose. All the perfectly timed video drops, the allegorical riddles, the checkmate of undeniable evidence, and the timelines. It was a grand opera of comeuppance, months in the making. And at the center of it all, Drake's laughably transparent attempt to not only salvage his battered ego, but to somehow reframe his entire beef as one big gaslight. An active conspiracy to make himself the wronged party being fed misinformation by shadowy moles in the Kendrick's camp. The sheer hubris of it all is almost admirable if it wasn't so painfully pathetic. Creating an elaborate false flag about Kendrick falling for an inside joke, set up with a planted personal items and fake daughter reveals, whipping his remaining stains into a frenzy by claiming the diss track's receipts were all stolen from his own inner circle as part of this dastardly ruse. It's a Hail Mary of a man drowning in L's, desperately throwing any buoyant friction he can grasp at. But now the curtain's been pulled back. The smoke and the mirrors dispelled by an unlikely dramatist hell-bent on serving cold hard truth. The timeline's reconstructed, Drake's alibis dismantled. The very props he claimed were manipulated by Kendrick traced back to his own bumbling hands on the night of a performance. His hype man sidekick academics implicated as a co-conspirator spreading misinformation and false theft claims. It's a fatal exposure that lies bare not just Drake's pertinent for fiction, but a level of arrogance that genuinely astounds. To double down with a kaleidoscope of lies so brazenly unforgivable in the face of defeat, while smugly accusing his victorious rival of failing for more Machiavellian ruse, the chutzpah is almost impressive in the most cringe-worthy way possible. With each cryptic video, more ominous photo drop, each taunting riddle about Drake's hidden secrets. It feels like they were trapped in a real-life Batman villain's convoluted revenge plot. The breadcrumb trail gets more complex, the insinuations more chilling. Is our anti-hero just a slighted working stiff getting payback? Or is there deeper, darker layers to this onion yet to be peeled? This supposed titan of rap royalty clearly has an elevated assessment of his own mythos when he legitimately thought the public would buy into his ridiculous fiction. That the same fans devouring his atmospheric beats and emotionally whiny lyrics would somehow possess the critical thinking skills of fictitious Soviet-era rural villagers. Spoon-fed an old fairy tale about secret moles and stolen belongings and evil plots, nodding along dumbly to his self-serving revisionism. It's both deeply insulting and profoundly telling of how Drake really views his fawning fan base as nothing more than slack-jawed consumers of his embellished persona, willing to lap up even his most preposterous deceits without a hint of skepticism, switching their allegiance based on whatever gauzy narrative he chooses to spin from the tattered threads of his bruised ego. And yet, in a delicious twist of cosmic irony, it's the very people he so brazenly underestimated who are exposing his lies and forcefully dethroning him. The mysterious operatives of this anonymous vigilante have utterly dismantled Drake's slapdash cover story, piece by piece. His transparent alibis meticulously deconstructed, his flimsy fabrications about conspiracy theories and stolen goods unceremoniously crushed under the weight of cold, hard evidence. For all his bluster about being the sensible victor in some grand scheme, in the end, Drake has been comprehensively punked by his own arrogant assumption that his fanbase is full of gullible lemmings. His titanic overconfidence that they'd readily consume and regurgitate his obvious falsehoods has turned into a burial self-own of cringe-worthy proportions. So yes, for all those stalwart fans still clinging to the sad remnants of their idol's tarnished image, this dramatic unveiling must sting deeply. To have that desperate, pathetic last refuge of delusion, that Drake the Machiavellian mastermind had somehow outplayed the humiliated Kendrick all along, so forcefully and publicly eviscerated, it's the final bitter pill of realizing their hero wasn't just defeated, but that he's a small, insecure fabulist who deeply underestimated their ability to smell his BS. The gravitas, the showmanship, quoting Drake's own lyrics back at him like some sardonic Greek chorus, presenting incriminating evidence and ultimatums with all that high clap theatrically of Jack Nicholson's Joker. It's the over-the-top and deliciously melodramatic that I can't tell if I'm supposed to be enthralled or rolling my eyes into the next dimension. But you know what? I'm living for it, because this glorious collision of rap beef, amateur sleuthing, and comic book villainy is the precise level of unabashed camp and pettiness that 2024 deserves. Warner Brothers is furiously taking notes for their gritty Drake biopic as we speak. The climax, of course, is our mysterious friend laying it all out. Hard evidence that deflates Drake's balloon as lies about stolen belongings and inside moles. Timelines, locations, receipts, it's all been carefully reconstructed into an airtight checkmate. Drake's been outdated as a fabulous playing make-believe, and his former hype man DJ Academics is firmly implicated in perpetuating the falsehoods. It's a grand unveiling worthy of any great detective story denouement, as the villains' convoluted schemes unraveled, their tangled web of deceit exposed by an unlikely avenger whose motives are still tantalizingly obscured. All that's missing is a lair full of henchmen getting their furry, butts kicked by our crime fighter. In all seriousness though, between the dramatic levels and moral indignation, it does seem like there's a very real, very human grievance fueling all this. Getting folks fired over false allegations is a hell of a motivator for unleashing one's inner Frank Gorshin. I eagerly await how this darkly dictatic modern fable will twist and turn next. In the end, the self-proclaimed winner of this beef has been hoisted by his own fabrications. His desperate moves to rewrite the narrative just more nails in the coffin of his credibility and reputation. All that remains to be seen is a glimmer of humility that remains as a towering house of falsities comes crumbling down around him. But the delicious drama doesn't have to end here. We might be seeing more revelations soon. So make sure you smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss a single juicy development. And of course, once you're subscribed, pump up those like numbers by slapping that thumbs up icon. It really helps elevate this channel and spread these piping hot takes to the masses. While you're at it, share this video across all your socials. Spread the gospel of Drake's embarrassment far and wide. Let the world bear witness to the perils of fabricating conspiracy theories when you've been ethered on the mic. Finally, sound off down on those comments. What do you think of our vigilante hero's dramatic expose? Are you living for these Batman villain vibes or what? Do you think Drake will ever admit the truth? Or is hubris eternal? This is a safe space for all your raw, unfiltered hot takes.